You're listening to the Rebel Instinct podcast by Act On Software for all the marketing innovators living outside the box.
Hey everybody, I'm Galen Etlin with Act On Software, here again with my VP of Marketing, Casey Monk, with the Rebel Instinct podcast. And Casey, today is full circle. Our guests today are Arzuv and Mannan with Hers, a B2B demand generation firm based in India that works to empower women and boost access to careers in tech while providing amazing marketing services. And Casey, I know you were on their podcast called Her Story, and you talked about a great rebellious cause. I just think it's so cool to have this come around again and get to exchange podcast genius.
Yes, it was such a delight, and I was so honored that y'all asked me to be on the podcast with such an amazing organization and effort that y'all are doing. So, Mannan, marketing and empowering women are two of my favorite subjects. How in the world were you able to combine them with the work that you're doing?
Well, when I was in my college and I was studying, so marketing was one field that really intrigued me. And I always wanted to be there. I always wanted to explore the world. I always wanted to put my head in the right place and help companies. First of all, help myself, because I knew that I'm good at it, because I can think out of the box. And then as and when my career started, I was in marketing and sales, and I was just running back and forth, and I was good at it. And only after March that I started around in 2016. And last year on my daughter's birthday, she asked me. So I have a daughter, and I'm a single parent, and I always teach her about how good the world is and how good people are, and the world is a better place to live in, and she should not be about that. And women are the stronger gender. Women are the wiser gender, as a matter of fact, be it emotionally, mentally, in every aspect. And one day, just out of the blue, she said, so she calls me Abuji, which in Arabic means father, my beloved father. And she said that, Abuji, why don't you do something for women in your own field? And why don't you just hire women, and not just hire women from the team layer, the women who are in distress, or so she told me there are women who are widows, and there are red light areas, and there's a lot of human trafficking in this world. Like we live in a bad world. And she also had her questions. And that's when I decided, okay, actually I have to do something for my daughter. And that's when Hers started. And Hers, the name comes from hers. So, that was her idea. So that's it. That was Hers.
What an awesome origin story. And I would love to meet your daughter. She sounds like a really amazing young lady. So Arzuv, when we spoke on the podcast, you mentioned that culturally, Indian women are meant to be submissive in all facets. So how do you encourage the women of Hers to take risk and be aggressive when necessary at work?
The basic concept of Hers is, of course, women empowerment. And then speaking from my experience, and then I have been living in India for the last 6 years, and I've been in different kind of situations where women have to, face with many different situations where they have to be, submissive in some areas of their life. And then when talking about the risks, taking risks for, us advising women to talk about empowerment or to join our organization, regardless of their experience, personal, professional experience, it's already a huge risk for them. So what we here are trying to do is to create a platform where they can grow professionally without any pressurizing, without any putting labels into them, she does not have a background experience, I don't think she will sit in this responsibility or in this position. Rather than we take anyone who needs a help, who wants to build this career, and then we start giving them training, education, because they already have their set of minds. And the one thing which is always difficult is to unlearn many things that you have been learning while growing up, right? So, and then for us, that's the one thing is giving them as much space as they want, and then taking things slowly, not putting any deadlines or targets to them, so that they can see that there's another way as well. And then this was one of the purposes why we reach out to marketing leaders like yourself, to show them, for them to get inspired that there is another way too. She could do it, so you can do as well.
That's wonderful. It sounds like for many of these women, you need to be gentle with them, because they need that sort of safe space to feel like I don't have to be perfect at this, and that sort of naturally builds that confidence when they're able to grow in a safe place like that. It's great.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Along those lines, especially when you're working with people who are coming from a place of oppression and the culture around it doesn't always accept, that effort on your part, what sort of pushback, if any, have you received, and how do you handle that? Mannan, maybe we'll start with you with that one.
Well, to be honest, there's a lot of pressure right from identifying such women and talking to them, especially the first batch when I went to a camp where women were rescued and they did not have shelter, they did not have home. Just pitching the idea of working and having a career for them, they were really scared. And they were like, we have never done this. We do not have the confidence. So it just starts right there. The first barrier is meeting them and trying to convince them to come and work and to have a steady life and to have a good life. Because they go by their past experiences as to what the world has done to them and how the world has been to them. So our first battle starts right there, right? Meeting them and talking to them and convincing them to have a better life. So after that, it's quite smooth. And then sometimes you get a lot of pressure from the world and people who have done bad to them. They call us up. They try to put something. They try to put roadblocks. But you just got to be strong. It's a cause, and God is always with the good, and the good always wins. So yeah, we're not scared. We're not going to worry about it, and we're still going to do what we got to do. And we're just going to try and make this world a better place.
Arzuv, turning to you with that one, we have some questions that we do like to ask everyone on the Rebel Instinct podcast, and it may be related to what we were just talking about there. But would you say, one of the most rebellious or out of the box things that you've tried, and how did it perform?
The HERS initiative that we started was a huge thing for me. And then, taking the interviews, talking to the, the great women, and then, learning about their stories and the struggles, and then, sharing it to the public, to our target audience. And this was the huge thing for me. And then I guess this was one of the, big out of the box things for me.
Certainly against the grain for what you're facing.
Yeah.
So Mannan, what advice do you give to the women that work at HERS or your clients to be more rebellious in their careers?
Well, one thing that I teach my daughter, my kids, and all my employees, and all my colleagues is that smart work might make you successful, but hard work in the right direction does make you successful. And identifying that begins from identifying the job that you want to do, the field that you want to go into, and the vendors. On the client side, the vendors that you choose, and how they promote, and how much feedback we as vendors give to our clients as to which asset is working, identifying and being at the right place in the right time, and just working hard. Along with working smart on it, working hard is really, really, really necessary, because it does give you success. You go at it. My father has always taught me that discipline never fails. Luck might, but the discipline will always keep you going, and you will be successful someday. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of discipline too, and structure, and putting in the work, as you mentioned, and it does pay off. It really does. Like, you don't have to have an Ivy League degree. If you work really hard and you do the right thing, the universe rewards you. I've seen that time and time again. So Arzuv, I know you said that you're pretty straight-laced, but as Galen mentioned, just the whole place that you work at is pretty dang rebellious. But how would you say you're a rebel in your non-work life? In any way, is there any ounce of that?
It makes me think a lot, actually. But what I would call out of to be a rebel, in my non-work life would be like, whenever I tend to go out and all this stuff, I can easily jam in whatever the vibes they have, because people have always this idea of that very composed and the calm person. But then if I'm outside, if I'm in a public place, if I hear a good music, that I can go ahead and then, start vibing into the music, and then, create that atmosphere and go along with the vibe, whatever they have.
You can be a dancing queen or dancing machine if you want to. I love it.
Party with Arzuv.
Yes, I agree with that.
I party with Arzuv.
We'll start the party next time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, well, Mannan, we love asking this question because we get so many interesting answers from movie characters to authors to politicians, whoever inspires our guests, really. For you, what rebel do you feel needs to be celebrated and why?
I get inspired very easily, and there's this human being that I'm really inspired by, and I need so he is actually a rebel, and me being a Muslim, I'll be very open and honest about it. We get, I get a lot of things. I get a lot of comments and a lot of statements, especially about hers, about religious aspects, about being a man, hiring only women, and working towards that cause. And I think rather being critical about it, it should be celebrated more. And me being a rebel is just like, I just do not put my ears over there. I do not put my mind over there. I do not put my heart over there. I'm pretty focused, and I know what I got to do. And for me, that is being rebellious, and I'm really happy about it. And yeah, the person who I really admire is Shah Rukh Khan. I don't know if y'all have heard about him. He's an Indian actor, and I take inspiration in my life from him because he came from nothing. I came from nothing. I came from the slums. I have really followed him. I've really followed his words. I've read his books. I've followed his life, and I really knew that he has to, I have to make it. Also, he has a foundation called the Mir Foundation, where he supports women and women empowerment, where they support acid attack survivors. Because in India, acid attack was a great thing back in the days, and women still struggle with that. They've had 30, 40 surgeries. I've met such women. We've hired such women, and yeah, that's an inspiration, and I think that needs to be celebrated. That really needs to be celebrated. And that is being a rebel, and a lot of people should be such rebels, actually.
And now we're going to have a little bit more fun, and we're going to do ladies first. It's time for our Honey, I Don't Think So segment, talking about what's been annoying you lately that needs to stop now in marketing or MarTech. You've got 60 seconds to make your case. Are you ready, Arzuv, for your Honey, I Don't Think So?
Would be, I guess, copy pasting a lot of stuff and information content. I would love to be more customized and personalized content toward your, target audience, so that, it will catch their attention with, some fun maybe. I mean, no need to be so much professional and then, keep it on everything on a green light and all that stuff. Maybe something more personalized and something to research, very in a detail about your audience, who is he or she, what she's doing, what she would be interested in, and then maybe according to those details to create a content and then work on that.
Okay, Mannan, are you ready for your Honey, I Don't Think So? You've got 60
Well,
seconds
absolutely.
in the case. Are you ready?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I am. So
Yeah.
I think that's really annoying me lately in the MarTech and the marketing industry is that, people really prefer quantity over quality nowadays, be it in lead generation, be it in programmatic, because, they just want impressions, they just want leads. They are not looking for quality leads. They just want to fill their numbers in. They just want to deliver numbers. They do not want to deliver quality. Whereas the whole marketing and the marketing industry is about sales pipeline. You cannot just fill in leads, you cannot just fill in information. You can just not run through a call or just put emailers and downloads. Whereas, so where we concentrate is if anybody has downloaded an asset from our client, we do not use that particular contract for the next 4 to 5 months because that's a warm lead to another company. And what today, MarTech companies and IT companies who outsource their lead generation to other vendors, they just want quantity, and that's what that's what the vendors are doing also. The clients are pressuring them about quantity and not quality, and that's going for a toss.
Preach to the people. I'm with you. Well, thank you both so much for being on the Rebel Instinct today. You are both an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to the readers. So keep fighting the good fight, and let's stay in touch.
Thanks everyone for listening to the Rebel Instinct podcast. Be sure to follow Act On Software for updates and upcoming episodes. And remember to always act on your Rebel Instinct. Until next time.